we back. And we back, and we back, and we back, and we back, and we and we back, and we back.
Yeah, good.
Hey, this ain't no intro.
Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first because we finish last.
Thank you once again for listening to the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo. DJ's back in the bathroom after a week out last week. Man, you're back in your hometown. We're a little bit away from each other, so we're back to you being in the bathroom. But I think we got to jump right in it today because I think we've got a pretty full slate here.
Yeah, we got a long beginning part here.
So I'm sick and well, I'm not sick and tired. I guess I have it coming because I'm one of the only Dolphins fans a lot of our mutual friends and people that know me know based on where we live. So I'm getting asked left and right, and I've just basically held on and said, just wait. I'm going to talk about it on the podcast. I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't want to talk about it a million times. I don't want to send a million texts. So I said we're just going to have at it right away. We're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins and their addition of Jay Cutler. Before we go any farther, we are going to talk about our top flight wide receivers. That's going to be the main portion of the podcast.
I doubt it.
We'll see how this goes. I want to put a cap on it. You don't.
Nope.
Do you see the little innuendo there? Put a cap on it. Little Kaepernick.
Oh, good one.
Ah, yes. Well, do you want me to start off? Do you want to go? I have a lot to say. I know you have a lot to say.
Do you want to tell them what we're going to talk about right away? Well, you kind of did. I guess you kind of introed it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Did you even say his name?
Jay Cutler to Miami. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jeez, you're a train wreck.
I kind of want you to go first.
I agree because this is what the people want. The people want to know what the Dolphins fan feels. Like I said, I've been getting Facebook messages, text messages, calls, you name it, man. It's happening. So I'm going to start by saying this. I'm in favor of the move. I'm in favor of Jay Cutler going to Miami. I'm in favor of Jay Cutler starting for Miami. You need to realize that without Ryan Tannehill, let's just go under the assumption that he is out for the year. He's going to have surgery. Let's play that assumption. Matt Moore, if he gets hurt, the team is down to Brandon, Doughty, and David Fales.
He will fail.
He will fail. So at the end of the day, the team needed to add someone, whether that's Cutler, whether that's Kaepernick, whoever. They were the best options. You had to do it. And with the NFL's blackballing of Kaepernick, with the whole Gase-Cutler history, Cutler was the clear choice here. And before you interject, I want to do one more thing. You know what you have in Matt Moore if you're the Dolphins. And what you have, that's a career backup. He's a good backup. He's a guy I don't mind having on my team, but he's not going to take your team to the next level. I said it last year when Tannehill Listen, when Tannehill got hurt, his next games were against the Jets and the Bills, and those were teams that Tannehill has struggled against. I said, you know what? This could be a decent situation for Matt Moore to come in, play well, but when they get to the playoffs, that's when you're going to miss Tannehill. He's not going to be able to do it to the next level. So we saw it last year. It happened. Matt Moore played fine he had 4 touchdowns against the Jets on like 12 completions. The game was kind of an anomaly. And then they had a wild-ass game against the Bills. Then they lost to New England, and then they went into the playoffs and got rolled by the Steelers. You know what you have with Matt Moore. He's not taking you to the next level. He shows he can hang in some games. When things get real, he is done. I'm going to let you interject, and then I've got some more I'll talk about.
You're literally describing Jay Cutler as you describe Matt Moore. He's also a career backup. He should have been. He doesn't put up good numbers, never really has. But I'm going to say, you literally know what you have in Jay Cutler. If you don't know what you have in a guy who's been in the league for, going to be 11 or 12 years now, Jay Cutler, then I don't know what you think of him. It's weird that you state it that way because you know exactly what Jay Cutler is. He throws a ton of interceptions, and he's not going to win games for you.
Do you remember, though, that Cutler played on some really shitty Bears teams? Cutler was forced to make plays. They had a couple of decent years with him.
He did make plays. I watched a guy throw more interceptions than anybody in the goddamn league constantly.
He played for so many shitty teams. He was asked to do so much. This Dolphins team arguably has more talent than the teams that had Alshon and Brandon Marshall. Yeah, because they have a legit running game too.
Matt Forte.
Jarvis Landry, Kenny Stills, and Devontae Parker are gonna be just as fine. They're not Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey to that level, but they're gonna be just fine.
That they had the year that they were in the NFC Championship game carried Jay Cutler.
Okay, this is what I want to say. I'm not saying that Jay Cutler is this great quarterback who's going to take Miami back to the playoffs, but I'm saying the team has a better chance of reaching their potential with Cutler than they do more, and I don't even think it's debatable. Gase is going to put Cutler and that offense in a position to not be reckless, not cause turnovers, and I was listening to some talk about this. So everyone labels Cutler as this huge gunslinger, always taking chances, and then they say, "Oh,
a bad decision maker."
Okay, but they're saying as soon as Gase came, he kind of wrangled them in, and he had one of his better years, like less turnovers and everything. What he was doing, he wasn't letting Cutler take as many chances down the field. He was kind of putting him on a leash and making him make smarter decisions. And this offense is built to do that. That's what they were going to do with Tannehill anyways. So if Gase already has this history with Cutler, I am going to take
1 year.
That's fine. Tannehill only had 1 year with him as well. I'm going to take my chances with Cutler and 1 year under Gase, playing in like kind of with a little bit of a leash, basically, you could say. I'm going to take that over Matt Moore any day. I've seen enough of Matt Moore. He started for Miami plenty for me to understand, yeah, he's going to have that game where he throws 4 touchdowns. It's not sustainable with Matt Moore. There's not a chance. It's not debatable in my mind. Like I said, I don't think Jay Cutler is this awesome quarterback. Considering what's available, they had to do it. It's the right move.
His whole career, he's been below average. That's just what he's been. He's been a below average quarterback that everybody thought was going to be better every single year. But I'm going to start where I wanted to start because you wrangled me right into it because I don't want to get that much. Honestly, I am just as excited as anybody in the league that Jay Cutler's back. He's a character. I love him. Because, you know what, as a Packers fan, I've seen him throwing interceptions to Green Bay Packers every game. That's just what he does. And I was sad to see him go. I was really upset. I'm like, I enjoyed Jay Cutler in the league. But then God tosses me a freaking fastball right down the middle at 60 miles per hour and says, here you go, DJ.
It's not a fastball at 60 miles per hour. It's a terrible changeup.
I crush it. Here you go, DJ. Let's put Jay Cutler on your best friend's favorite team so that you can enjoy your text from him every single Sunday. This is entertainment at the best. I can't wait for your Sunday, your Monday text. This fucking guy. I'm so excited.
You think I'm going to wait till Monday to text you that?
Here's a fun fact about Jay Cutler. You know where he's born?
I feel like I did at one point, but I don't know now.
I'm sure this joke has been played before, but I'm going to do it again.
Oh, God.
He was born in Santa Claus, Indiana. That's
that's why I've heard that, yeah.
So, I mean, corny joke here. He only performs one time a year, fittingly. So that's just Jay Cutler right there.
Wow.
I thought I had to do it.
To credit you, I hadn't heard that joke yet, so I'll let you slide on that one.
I think I have. So I was looking, I did some research on Jay Cutler, and I dug into his whole career. So his career completion percentage is 61.9%. 61.9%. His highest is 2014 without Adam Gase at 66%. He had 28 touchdowns, 18 interceptions that year. In 2015 with Gase, the guy that everybody says blah, 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 I'm actually going to kind of repeat what you said. That was his highest actually rating that year. He only had 21 touchdowns that year and 11 interceptions. So that's really not a good.
It wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. I'll give you that. But how about this? Tannehill. Okay, that's fine. But Tannehill isn't like this awesome guy with the ball either. He throws interceptions. He fumbles a lot. He gets sacked all the time. Granted, he's been playing with some really bad offensive lines, but the numbers are there. The proof is there. He's one of the top guys in the league in sacks, and some of them are his fault.
Yeah, I mean, they're one and the same. You're literally describing the same fucking guy.
My argument that he's better than Matt Moore. They needed to sign him.
I don't necessarily think he is, but
Okay, but how about this? This is what happens, though. What happens when Matt Moore gets hurt?
$10 million on a backup quarterback.
What happens when Matt Moore gets hurt?
Then get some. The season's lost. Period. It's a lost season. Who cares?
But now it's not.
If quarterback doesn't cost $10 million.
$10 million for a starting quarterback, though, actually isn't that much. Isn't that bad?
Starting quarterback.
Well, he is in Miami.
Okay. Anyways, so you hit on this already. Gase's secret was not to let him throw it's purely is what it was. They don't let him throw as much because Gase recognized Jay Cutler is not a talented quarterback. That year, the Bears they had the fifth most rushes in the league in 2015. So I mean, it wasn't like Gase knew how to fix Cutler. He just reined him in because he didn't really have enough.
That's how you fix a guy like Cutler, though. You take away a little bit of his power. You don't let him be this all-out crazy quarterback that's going to throw it all over the place. That might be the fix.
And that takes me to the Finns' offensive line.
Yeah, there's a train wreck.
Yeah. So I decided to do a little bit of research on that. And not only is he going to get hit and pressured a ton, but I don't think they're going to be a really good rushing team. You yourself said Jay Ajayi was constantly getting hit in the backfield. So I went and looked at their offensive line, looked how they graded out a little bit. Jermaine Bushrod, your right guard, just garbage, right? You can admit that he's awful.
Honestly, though, he's better than what they had the 2 years before him.
He was the fourth worst at his position in offensive lineman.
I never said he was great.
Okay, as far as grading out according to Pro Football Focus.
His name is Jermon, too.
Tunzel will be good. So Tunzel you don't know about. You know, he's the first year at left tackle. You don't know what he's going to be. He had a decent season at left guard, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him. Can't. They improved at left guard. Ted Larson.
He's out, though.
He is?
He tore his biceps. So that's
I didn't even realize that. So that leaves, Anthony Steen, right? Who was also in the bottom 5 as an offensive lineman in his position in the league.
Are you trying to, push me into, this assisted suicide that we were talking about earlier? What are you doing here?
Pouncey can't stay healthy, but if he does, he's the best offensive lineman on that team. So maybe you have one good bright spot for sure, and then you got Juwan James, who was 32nd among qualified tackles, so he's average at best. He's around average at his position. So 64 starting tackles, he was 32nd. That puts him right in the middle, right?
Yep.
So you got a bunch of guys who can't block. So you got no run game and no pass game. I don't know what you're excited about, and you have a quarterback who doesn't protect the ball, as you said in Twitter the other day. It takes forever to get it out and fucking backpedals.
I did. That's the one thing that really, really scares me about knowing the offensive line as well as I do, and seeing Cutler's drop back, how low he keeps the ball. That's going to be an issue. That's my biggest issue right now.
They need to go NBA. Take the loss of Tannehill. Eat shit this season. Get a new quarterback. Let Tannehill fly. And start all over again. Dolphins are done.
Well, that's a bold prediction. I can't go into that. Why can't Tannehill come back next year in your eyes?
I don't think he's worth re-signing. I guess they could shop him, see how much money he gets out there, and maybe match if it's nothing. And it probably won't be, honestly. He's not going to get offered a lot. But I say just rebuild because he's a lost cause. You're never going to, like I said, go to an AFC championship game with him even.
So you want to do the whole suck for luck, but tumble for Darnold. I don't even know what rhymes with Darnold.
Or any of those. There's 3 fucking guys who could be star quarterbacks coming up.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's such the great unknown, and I don't know. I've been so up and down on Tannehill. I don't really know what I would do at this point. There was so much hype. There was so much trust there between him and Gase. It's like you can't just punt on that. You can't just punt on it.
Yes, you can. You have to. He hasn't done anything. And what has he been in here for 6 years?
At the end of the day, we gotta move on so this doesn't go forever. But at the end of the day,
I love it.
What my argument is and what my stance is the fact that if it's only Matt Moore and the 2 backups I said, you need to bring in someone. I would have preferred Kaepernick.
No, punt on the season. That's exactly it. Bring in another quarterback.
You can't do that. You don't ever see that in the NFL though. You never see that theory.
Well, it's done by management, not by the players. They're still going to compete.
Right. Yeah, you got to make it look like you're.
Yeah. You got to. I think if I'm a Dolphin fan, I'd prefer a punt, get myself a quarterback, and give myself a chance in a couple of years. Otherwise, you're going to end up like the Browns.
It would be exciting, but I just think they've built a team right now with just re-signing Kenny Stills now, still having Parker on his rookie deal, probably going to end up re-signing Stills. Landry, you still have Ajayi on his rookie deal. It's like, this is your, I don't want to say this is your window because it's probably not, but I don't know if you can just straight up say, okay, we need to start fresh with a whole new quarterback. We're going to just punt on everything we had here.
I think you have to. It's called rebuilding. Otherwise, you're going to stay stagnant, never go anywhere. Then you're going to fall into this hole of 10 straight, below 500 seasons like the Browns have done. And then you're going to be burning every quarterback's jersey and having jerseys with names all the way down the back of it.
That's already a thing.
I know,
it's already a thing.
I don't want to see you go through it, man. It's going to happen. It's already there on the path.
Thanks. Well, let's talk some fantasy football wide receivers. Last week we talked about receivers that we had ranked numbers 24 through 13. Today we're going to do our top guys, our 1s through 12. So let's give each of our rankings, and then we'll discuss a couple of these guys as well.
Sounds good. Should I go first or what?
Have at it.
You're not first, you're last. We never finish first, though. At number 12, I've got Amari Cooper. Number 11, I had Sammy Watkins. Number 10, Mr. Keenan Allen of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, get it right.
This is where these next two are going to be like the most controversial.
Yeah, I can't wait for this.
I'm so excited for the feedback, and I'm the Packer fan. These next two are going to be the most controversial I have on here.
I got a sound effect waiting for you here.
Number 9, I have Jordy Nelson.
Oh, he's been drinking again.
Number 8, I have Devontae Adams of the Green Bay Packers. T.Y. Hilton at number 7. Des Bryant, number 6. A.J. Green, number 5. Antonio Brown, number 4. Mike Evans, number 3. I think that's going to be another thing. People question is Antonio Brown, but I have lots of reasons for that at 4. Evans, 3. Julio Jones at 2. And Odell Beckham Jr., Senior Jr. at number 1.
All right, I'll run through mine, then I've got a couple of things that I want to bring up here. So at number 12, I've got Doug Baldwin. Number 11, Brandon Cooks, who you mistakenly left off.
Nope.
Number 10, Des Bryant. Number 9, Michael Thomas. Number 8, Amari Cooper. Number 7, T.Y. Hilton. Number 6, Jordy Nelson. Number 5, A.J. Green. Number 4, Mike Evans. Number 3, Odell Beckham. Number 2, Julio Jones. And number 1, Antonio Brown.
We had more similarities than we've had in anything else, though.
Yeah, the one thing that sticks out, like if anyone were to just look at your list, you look at numbers 8 and number 9. It's Devontae Adams followed by Nelson. So I have a couple of questions that I want to ask as to why. One, you've touched on this before, but I think you need to rehash it. Why Adams over Nelson? And 2, are you nervous to have 2 receivers from the same team in your top 10?
No.
Well, that was the second question. Thanks for going in order.
What was the first question?
Why Adams over Nelson?
Adams is, like I said, Adams is the younger of the two. He's shown that he can beat the one-on-one coverage. He's taking the guard as the number 1 wide receiver. He's going to end up getting. It's going to be going more towards him every year. It's starting to do that already. So, I mean, it's going to transition to him being the number 1 wide receiver as Jordy gets older, and Jordy going to number 2, and then kind of just flying off the radar and just being gone. This is what happens. Like what happened? It's like, where did Donald Driver go? Where did Jennings go? It's like they gone before you even know it. You're like, holy shit, what happened to that guy? They were the number 1 wide receiver last year. The next thing you know, 3 years later, they don't even play at all. So that's the direction that Jordy's heading in. Devontae's going up. He's getting better. He's honestly, reportedly right now, the only guy who can beat man-to-man coverage against their shitty cornerbacks in training camp.
Yeah.
There's lots of reasons.
Let me interject real quick here, because we had a listener question that we'll plug in right away here.
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns regarding Nelson's age? Do you think
absolutely.
Do you think this is time where he might regress, especially when you combine it with the injury?
With the ACL tear, yes. That's exactly what I was going to say. That combined with the ACL injury, his body's not getting better.
People were saying that he started looking faster though towards like the second half or like the last third of the season. Like he maybe was like becoming really healthy at that point. Is there something to that, or were people just getting more used to seeing him in action?
He was just more confident in his knee.
Yeah,
that's it. He wasn't any faster. He was healthy the entire time. He just didn't know. When you come back from an ACL tear, you are naturally hesitant, so you're not as explosive right away. You're figuring it out.
Yeah.
So the more he played, the more confident he became. But he struggled all year to be man-to-man coverage, and his big strength is Rodgers scrambling, just like everybody else on the team. Where I think Devontae has the ability to separate, actually get away, and he's getting better. He's explosive. He's deceptively fast. Yeah, as a black guy. And he can go on high point a ball. I like the way he attacks balls.
Speaking of black guys, so I saw there was a thing on the internet today about the top 50 black athletes of all time. Did you happen to see that?
No, that's really weird because it's like the top 50 athletes of all time would be black to me.
I thought that, but that was actually the second thing I thought of. The first thing I thought of was like, what if they did like a top 50 white athletes of all time? That would go terrible.
Oh, that would be so bad.
Like it would.
You would be number 50.
I might be 50. I might be 50. But what I was also thinking was like the black community would be like, you can't make a list of just white people. Like I think it would have like a reverse like connotation to it. Like it wouldn't go well. You can do this with black athletes, but I don't think you can do this with white athletes.
Yeah, that's true. It's a stigma.
Also, did you know that Babe Ruth was black?
No, I didn't. Interesting fact.
Learned that today. I have very little. I would rather recklessly speculate than know for a fact. So I heard it, and then I did like a quick Google search, read a couple headlines. Babe Ruth's daughter said that, like, if it wasn't for Jackie Robinson and a couple others, that her dad would have broken the color barrier. He was part black.
No, he wasn't.
This isn't new. Like, this is old.
What?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm recklessly speculating at this point. But look it up. He doesn't look 100% white. I don't think he is.
No, Babe Ruth is white.
Babe Ruth was black.
No, he's not.
My non-Babe Ruth question. So the second part was, I struggle putting two receivers from the same team in the top 10, let alone you have the top 9, basically the same thing.
Well, go ahead.
No, that's it. Like I struggle with that. I don't know. I get it. I get the Aaron Rodgers factor. I get that there's balls to go around. They're a pass-first team, so it's possible.
They consistently do it, though. I mean, Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb were top 10 a couple of times. This last year, Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams were top 10 by themselves. I mean, I'm sure Jennings and Jordy were top 10.
Crabtree and Cooper did it.
Well, I'm
top
talking
12
about just
anyway.
This one team, though. This one team. They are the team that consistently has 2 wide receivers in the top 10. You can't deny that. That's just fact. They consistently do it year in and year out.
Yeah. No, I get that. I struggle doing it, so I separate them a little bit, just saying like, hey, if I'm in between them, I'm taking my top guy first, whereas like you have them back to back. So you're almost saying like, well, if one is there, I'm taking him.
Yeah, I went back to back because I think they're going to be still pretty even. I just think Devontae is going to probably outscore him by about 20 to 30 points.
Yeah, I want to talk about our top-ranked guys because I have Antonio Brown ranked number 1. So if you didn't see us or if you don't follow us on Twitter, do it. We're at Loaded Box. We posted a pre-podcast blog earlier this week, and I discussed my top 5 rankings in a little bit more depth and my reason as to it. So I'm kind of echoing what I said here, but the last 3 years for Antonio Brown, he finished in fantasy football as wide receiver 1, wide receiver 1, and wide receiver 3. So you have him at 4. He's my clear-cut number 1. And some people are like, well, Martavis Bryant is back. I'm not too scared about that. I read that Big Ben hasn't finished with 2 wide receivers in the top 25 in fantasy football scoring since like 2013 when they had Emmanuel Sanders.
He hasn't had fucking Martavis Bryant.
Right. But
only had Antonio Brown.
But why I'm super high on Brown still, and I don't care who's there. I think Brown's going to score. Pittsburgh's offense has been in the top 10 in both yards and points each of the last 3 seasons. There's plenty of balls to go around. I can't until Antonio Brown has a flop year where he's right around 1,000 yards and under 10 touchdowns, and that's not even a flop year. It's just not a top 5 to 10 year. He's going to be my number 1 guy. I can't move him away. And you have him at 4.
Yeah, I do have him at 4, and that's because of Martavis Bryant and Le'Veon Bell both playing a full season. Martavis Bryant's going to take away 100 receptions, honestly. 80 receptions.
Well,
he's going to take away 80 receptions. He's going to be open. He's going to be open a lot. He's good. He's talented. He's a top wide receiver talent, a top 10 wide receiver talent.
I like that.
Le'Veon Bell is, going to play, the first 4 games finally in his fucking career, it seems like. So he's going to take away a ton. Plus, I don't know what to think about. I mean, who knows how many games Roethlisberger's going to play. So with that into play, with all those, factors, Roethlisberger getting hurt, faking injuries a lot, diagnosing himself, that Martavis Bryant.
The Roethlisberger hater has arisen.
Martavis Bryant is definitely gonna bring his touchdown total down. I don't think there's any doubt about that in my mind. That you're gonna see is the touchdown, Antonio Brown's touchdown total drop dramatically, and then the addition of Le'Veon Bell for the extra 4 games and just how much he requires the ball because you're just smart if you give him the ball. It's just I don't see his production. He's getting older as well. I just see his production dropping off significantly this year, honestly.
Yeah.
I may be crazy, but I think this is the year.
Yeah, so he's your 4.
I was on him last year, man.
Yeah, no, I see that argument. I just think Pittsburgh's offense, honestly, with those guys, it's top 3 potential. It's going to be in the top 3 in the NFL, and when I hear that, it's just like we just talked about with the Packers. Well, you got Adams and you got Nelson and you got Cobb. There's balls to go around. They're both going to do well. I just think at the end of the day, Antonio Brown's the guy. He's the one that Roethlisberger has faith in. He's the one he's going to go to.
My argument against that is those 2 wide receivers are inflated more, Devontae and Jordy, because of their quarterback, where Roethlisberger's not near as talented as Aaron Rodgers. Try to argue that, I'll fucking murder you if anybody out there. Not near. Ben Roethlisberger looked 10 times better. Did you catch all that?
It got a little fuzzy, which was actually funny because it sounded like there was a parental advisory because you were about to say murder and then it got really fuzzy, so it was kind of funny actually.
Yeah. I'll say if they argue Roethlisberger and talent compared to Aaron Rodgers, I'll fucking murder you. But I would say Martavis Bryant. I'll say Martavis Bryant and Brown both will make. Brown already makes Roethlisberger look better than he is.
Do you think we didn't get to have media credentials to Vikings training camp because of all your threats?
I don't give a shit. I'll murder them too.
There you go. We stole their helmet.
Yeah, we did.
Let's go to number 2. So we both have Julio Jones, and I think that we'll both agree that the knock on Julio is his lack of touchdowns. He only averages 6.7 a year. The question that I wanted to have to you and that I presented in that blog that I wrote, so at some point I think defenses adjust to the whole Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman situation. They combined for, I think it was 24 touchdowns last year. At some point, do you think defenses react to that, saying, hey, these guys are actually legit playmakers as well. We need to take them away. And then, bam, as soon as that happens, Julio Jones becomes a double-digit touchdown guy?
I don't know because, Matt Ryan just purely doesn't throw it to him in that area. And you can't just take them away. That's their strength. That's what they have the ability to do so many things and so many things differently. That's what makes them – they have so many options everywhere. You can't just focus on any one person on that team. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So you don't just try to take – you don't not take Julio away no matter what. You just don't do it. You can't not – he's always the sole focus, and you can't sit here and focus on those guys because the guy who's going to beat you the most is Julio Jones just in general.
And that's what I did. I did a why I would pick the guy ahead of the guy. So for each one of these, I did like why I would have my number 2 guy over my number 3 guy. And I have Julio Jones over Odell Beckham because, yeah, Odell Beckham is an unreal athlete, but I think Julio is even better. Julio, simply like you said, can't be taken away. You can put 2, 3 guys on this guy, and he's proven that. You just throw it up, and he goes and gets it. But like you said, Matt Ryan, he's kind of that opposite Jay Cutler. He's not taking that chance. He's checking down or he's giving it to the running back. He's not going to force the hand. And yeah, maybe that does limit Julio Jones in the red zone and getting those touchdowns. But Julio's yards, I think, more than make up for his touchdowns, and that's why I have him at number 2. Whereas you're at number 2, and I talked about Odell Beckham at 3. You have Beckham at 1. Why do you like Beckham tops?
Beckham at number 1 because I think he's by far the most talented wide receiver as far as route running, hands, athleticism, and what he can do. If you look at his first 4-5 games, he was off to the slowest start as any wide receiver in the league.
Yeah.
Didn't have over 100 yards except for the Washington game. He had 1 touchdown in the first 5 games. That was against Green Bay, where he had only 56 game, and then boom, he goes off. So imagine if he actually gets off to a better start. He's blowing all these wide receivers out of the water every time. And he did this the year before. I can't imagine he always gets off to a slow start, but he's always going to put up big numbers every year. That's a guarantee with him.
Yeah. So
I'm just taking his upside compared to anybody else's. I think is monstrous. To me, nobody has a better upside. I think he's one of the best wide receivers I've watched in my entire life.
You pretty much stole the words out of my mouth here because what I have written down is 90, 1,300, and 10, which is over this first 3 years, he's had at least 90 catches, at least 1,300 yards, which is stupid, and at least 10 touchdowns every single year. Mm-hmm. That's unbelievable. And I agree with you. He's in the best in the NFL when it comes to the combination of hands, route running, and making plays after the catch. Yep. He's second to none in that. And I'll play on my theme here as to why he's over my next guy. So I have Mike Evans, number 4. And I have him over Evans because of the stats that I said earlier. Evans is a freak, and I'm going to talk about Evans here in a second because I love Mike Evans. The consistency of those stats, the mind-boggling, the eye-popping stats that they are. 90, 1,310 in your first 3 years, that's Hall of Fame.
He's not even he didn't come in and he didn't just learn how to do it. He just did it. What did he miss, the first 6 games of his career?
I was going to say, he didn't start playing right away, did he?
One game less than that.
One question I wanted to ask you, and this might be off the cuff because we didn't talk about this. What are the odds? Give me a percentage of Brandon Marshall recording more touchdowns this year than Odell Beckham.
0.
What?
No chance.
Oh, I was going to give it 30%.
Nope. There's no chance.
I'm going to give it 30 because I'm still a Brandon Marshall believer. I'm higher on him than you were, but I don't know, man. I just think Brandon Marshall is like that ultimate red zone target. Odell Beckham is the ultimate target everywhere, but Marshall just does.
That's just it. And he's been playing with Odell Beckham. You can't just come in and learn how to play with a quarterback that you've never played with.
I agree with that to an extent, but what I think Marshall and Manning have a advantage in this is Eli's the consummate pro. He's been around long enough, and so is Marshall. And Marshall has done this with Cutler. He's done this with Jake Plummer. He's done this with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's been around the block and he's produced.
It's just it's a guy coming in. He's older. Eli has trust in Odell. He's going to throw him the ball. He knows he's the best wide receiver, and he throws him the ball a ton. He's not going to stop.
Oh yeah, he's still going to just get dominated by
Odell
targets.
Wins. Eli makes Eli look better. Eli's fucking garbage. Fact. I don't care. Eli's an awful quarterback right now.
We've had enough mediocre quarterback debates for one day, so we're going to save that one. He's bottom 7 in the league right now. He is. I'm not talking about this.
Quarterbacks in football right now.
This podcast will go too long.
Odell makes him look good, and he's going to just keep beating them.
Are you happy?
No, it's a fact. I don't see how that's arguable.
So, let's talk about receivers.
Not even a Hall of Famer.
We'll see.
He'll get in, but he's not.
So, our pre-podcast Twitter poll today was if Odell, Julio, and Antonio Brown are off the board and you're picking a receiver, who are you taking? and it was between Mike Evans, Jordy Nelson, AJ Green, or you could comment other. And Mike Evans got 46% of that vote. AJ Green got 36. Jordy Nelson got 18. So
It's our best poll yet.
if you do the math there, that's 100%. No one had anyone else. So that's a pretty good distinction as to who kind of your top 5 guys are. And obviously, I think you voted for Evans because you have him ranked third, and I voted for Evans because the top 3 guys that were already gone are my top 3, and then I have Evans 4. So we were in the majority there, but it's kind of close between Evans and Green. So why do you prefer? I mean, you have Green 5, so he's really close. But why do you prefer Evans to Green and Antonio Brown? What's your Evans?
I'm actually gonna switch it up here. I have Evans ranked higher, but I want to argue for AJ Green.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay, because I personally think I actually would take AJ Green, but he does have his injury problems. But extrapolated out for a whole year, I like AJ Green. Last year, after looking at his numbers especially, and I didn't re-rank today, but the more I look at AJ Green, the more I like it. Last year through 9 games, so he played in the 10th game when he played like he had 1 target and he got injured.
Yeah.
But through 9 games, he had 964 yards and 964. I think it's 966 yards. Actually, I think I wrote that down wrong. It's 960 something yards and 4 touchdowns in just 9 games. That's 960 yards in 9 games. So if you conservatively project out from there to the end of the season, he's got 1,500 yards pretty easily, it seems.
Oh, yeah.
And somewhere between 8 to 10 touchdowns. So 1,500 yards would have put him at first ahead of T.Y. Hilton. And I think 1,500 is conservative. For a guy getting 964 yards in 9 games.
Yeah.
And I said 8 to 10 touchdowns. He had 4 about halfway through the season. He'll have probably a couple of units. So that puts him somewhere between 5th and 9th. Or 5th receiver and 9th receiver in touchdowns last year. So if you extrapolate that out, add that up throughout the season, I did 9 touchdowns for average's sake. So that puts him at 204 fantasy points, which would have put him first in regular scoring last year.
Yeah, that's nasty.
And I think those are conservative. I thought I was being conservative with those numbers. He's easily the number 1 wide receiver. So if you look at that and you want to look at the upside of a guy who can stay healthy, especially the guys who's getting more, who has more weapons now. Eifert wasn't playing. Now they have John Rouse. He was the main focus of attention, and he was still putting up his numbers. It's ridiculous. He could easily be the number 1 scoring wide receiver in the league if he plays the whole season.
Right, and I think the injury thing, so last year, like you said, he played into the 10th, so he missed 6 games, whatever it was.
Barely.
Before that, I looked it up. Throughout his entire career, I think he's only missed 4 games, if you don't count last year. So I think that's a little bit overstated. In my opinion, and this is what I wrote in the blog, AJ Green is the stud receiver that's no longer considered the sexy pick.
That doesn't make any sense.
People used to gush over AJ Green. It was like, oh yeah, he's definitely one of the top receivers off the board. But now you've got Beckham, you've got Julio, you've got Evans, you've got Brown. You're talking about all these guys. AJ Green is sort of flying under the radar here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's still top 5.
100%.
But my reason for that is I think besides the fact that there's a lot of stud receivers in the league right now, I think Andy Dalton kind of kills the hype.
And Andy Dalton's a good quarterback, I think. I honestly think he's a good quarterback.
I think he's fine, but I think he's kind of seen
better than
as
Ryan
that.
Tannehill and Jay Cutler.
He's not better than Ryan Tannehill. Come on.
Oh, he's
he's
better than
not.
Ryan
No,
Tannehill.
he's not. Not
Oh
even
my
close.
God.
Not even close.
It's so much. It's not close. He's way better.
Did you know that last year was the first year in AJ Green's career he didn't have 1,000 yards?
And he only played 9 games, and he almost did.
And he was 30-some yards short. I did the math. He would have needed to average 6 yards per game the rest of the year.
Yeah.
to get it.
9 games and 964, 966 yards.
He had 20 or more fantasy points in a third of the games he played in last year.
That's gross.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
So you were high on the Bengals last year. I haven't done my.
I'll be high on them again.
Well, neither of us have done our preseason projections yet, but I think the Bengals I'm loosely saying this. They're kind of a candidate for that bounce back team, and obviously AJ Green's playing a large part in that. What I'll do here. So I have Jordy Nelson 6, and I'm gonna do this. I have AJ Green over Nelson because AJ Green's more athletic. No one's challenging AJ Green for those targets, and like you said, Eifert probably will, but no other receiver's really gonna dominate the targets the way Green will. AJ Green is the proven consistency guy. I think his injuries are a little bit overstated. I don't think he's really missed all that much time when you actually compare him against other receivers that have been in the league that long. And like you said, he basically should have 1,000 yards every year he's played. So I'm with you. I had Green 5. Talk a little bit about Evans because you have him at number 3.
Yeah, I like Mike Evans a lot. Jameis Winston is the reason. He's gonna throw him the ball, and he's gonna make a fucking point of it every year. He's gonna force him the ball. He's gonna throw it to him. If he gets in trouble, he's gonna throw it up and let Mike Evans make a chance. He did that last year. He's gonna do it again this year. He's gonna have Deshaun Jackson on the other side of the field. People are gonna have to pay attention to every now and then. I don't think that takes away. If anything, I think it helps. I don't know. It's hard because it's like, as guys who talk fantasy football, we argue both sides. Like, this guy's going to take away some of his targets. This guy's going to help him.
Right, but you never really know.
So I hate arguing both sides because I sound like an idiot sometimes. But honestly, I don't care that Deshaun Jackson's there. I think Deshaun Jackson will have a good year, but Mike Evans is going to get the ball thrown to him by Jameis Winston. That's it. He's going to throw the ball to him a lot. He's a big, talented wide receiver who makes some crazy-ass catches.
Yeah.
He's going to get force-fed. That's what he's going to do. There's going to be times he doesn't want the ball thrown to him, and Jameis Winston's going to throw him the ball.
Right. That's just what he's going to do, yeah.
It's like
wish
Cutler to Marshall.
Pretty
That's
much.
Like Cutler throwing to Marshall, but Jameis is a lot better than Cutler.
I wish I would have done a little research on this. Do you know off the top of your head, are there Vegas odds that you can bet on for, like, people finishing, like, atop of their position in fantasy football, or is that a thing I made up?
Fantasy football? I've never heard of that.
If there was such a thing, I would take Mike Evans at like what his odds would be to lead all receivers in points, in fantasy points this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's not I would agree with that too.
I'm that high on him. He was wide receiver 2 last year in standard leagues. That was with Adam Humphries as the number 2 wide receiver. He ranks 51 on that white athlete list right behind me.
Why are you dissing Adam Humphries, bro? I had him on my fantasy team.
That's why you got last.
He's a good PPR guy.
Yeah, exactly. You talked a little bit about Deshaun Jackson and like how it's like, well, I don't really know how he's going to take away. I think Deshaun Jackson, like as the speedster, complements a guy like Mike Evans so well because Deshaun Jackson, with his top end speed, he'll command that safety help. That's going to leave more room for Mike Evans to operate. And Mike Evans, he's 6'5", 230 pounds. That's just a stupid big receiver. He's going to consistently have the advantage in single coverage. There's no cornerback in the league that can man up to that. And just playing on my strategy here, or my theories here, I have him at 4. I had A.J. Green at 5. I like him over A.J. Green because I really like Tampa Bay's offense. I think that Mike Evans is going to he's going to give you consistency. He's going to sprinkle in a lot of boom weeks. Mike Evans is that guy that's going to legit win you weeks this year. I'm all in on Mike Evans.
The one thing, and I just popped in my head, and I think you're going to like this actually. The one thing that does worry me about this Tampa Bay offense is they don't have a run game. I don't feel that they have a run game.
Yeah, that could hinder them a little bit. I'm
thinking maybe after last year that might affect how defenses play them in general, and you can almost pin your ears back and just go and react to the run.
Yeah.
You never know. That's the only thing that I could find as a flaw in this offense that could hurt them.
I will give you that, and that's why all offseason I was like, dude, throw Adrian Peterson into the mix there. Like, that offense with Adrian Peterson would have just been off the chain. Yeah. I was looking so forward to that. So I agree with you. I'm not a huge Doug Martin guy. He's not even going to play right away. You got Jacquizz Rodgers. You have the rookie from Boise. So, yeah, it's a big question mark at that position, but at the end of the day, if you're not a spoiled person that's lived your entire life as a Packers fan with Hall of Fame quarterbacks, most offenses do have flaws. You just don't really realize that because you haven't really been down that road.
I like the guy who covers up all the flaws.
Yeah, exactly. If you have one of those,
100 times per game.
you're in the clear. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the guy we have at 7. We both have T.Y. Hilton at 7. And my T.Y. Hilton ranking, and I think that you probably feel the same way, it's reflected directly by Andrew Luck's health. If
Yeah,
Luck,
100%.
yeah, if Luck has injury questions right before my draft, Hilton's dropping significantly for me. I would have very little faith in his backup. I'm not saying he's not draftable because I really do like him as a receiver, but it's really going to be hindering on Luck. And we talk about Julio Jones getting yards and less touchdowns. T.Y. Hilton's kind of the same way. He's had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. His career high in touchdowns is 7.
He had 6 last year, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see T.Y. Hilton really ever being a big touchdown producer because of his size. A lot of his touchdowns are longer, and statistically speaking, you don't get that many long touchdowns. But he's going to be consistent with yards. He's going to have touchdowns sprinkled in. And Amari Cooper's my 8 guy, and I have Hilton over Cooper because I just think Hilton's the clear top targeted wide receiver, whereas Cooper might have Crabtree to deal with. So that's my only distinction between the two. But
it's tough. I think he's so consistently underrated as well as number 1 wide receiver. That guys don't grab him just because it's I don't know. It just doesn't feel like he's a number 1 wide receiver, but he is. And then he consistently puts up. I mean, he's put up more yards than Julio, and he had the same amount of touchdowns. Honestly, Andrew Luck is known as not fully healthy. Honestly, I think he's gonna be fully healthy coming into the year. I think maybe he doesn't play week 1. But I honestly believe that he will, and I think he's not going to have any problems with that shoulder.
Yeah.
So I still want to temper everybody's expectations at Andrew Luck. Everybody's so worried. Everything he's doing right now is the smartest thing he can do. He had a crazy surgery on his shoulder that needs to heal. He's throwing. He's now rehabbing. He's taking his time so that he fully recovers. He's being actual smart about it, where other guys would be actually dumb.
He's taking the anti-Dolphins and Tannehill approach.
Yeah, so relax on that shit and just trust what they're doing. He's going to be healthy, and I honestly don't think you're going to see shoulder problems after this year.
Yeah. No, I think, like you said, we both reflect him at number 7 in our rankings. One guy I do want to talk about who's not in your top 12, he was number 11 for me, Brandon Cooks of the Patriots.
Yeah.
So
what I have him at, like 13 or 14, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, he was definitely in your wide receiver 2 mix. But I looked in this a little bit more because I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm a little high on this guy. And I looked into it a little bit more. So last year he was wide receiver 8. Yep. And going to a new team's going to hinder him a little bit, but he's going to just as good, if not better, quarterback in Tom Brady. So what scares me, though, about Cooks, the Patriots haven't had a wide receiver, an actual wide receiver, finish in the top 12 in fantasy scoring wide receivers since 2012.
Yeah, this is my argument. That's what I was trying to say last week.
Yeah, I didn't look into it till now. I'll give you a quick rundown, starting with 2016 and working my way down. Edelman was wide receiver 20. 15, Edelman was wide receiver 37. That was their number 1 receiver. Edelman was wide receiver 37. In 2014, LaFell was wide receiver 22.
Wow.
In 13, Edelman was wide receiver 18. And then finally in 2012, Welker finished as wide receiver 12.
What was Edelman last year?
Edelman was wide receiver 20. So you're basically looking at like wide receiver 2s as the Patriots' leading receiver. But what I'll say is Cooks is definitely the best outside receiver they've had on the team since Moss.
He's not Moss, though. Like, everybody's so confused, like, getting this twisted. Like, anybody I listen to wants to make him into Randy Moss and be like, Tom Brady's going to get 40. He's not Randy Moss. He isn't. And Tom Brady isn't the same age he was when he had Randy Moss. His arm isn't the same. He doesn't throw deep as much as he did. So the receivers that he's brought in and that can run deep routes aren't as successful because he doesn't throw it deep as much as he did. He just doesn't. He's getting older. He wants to get the ball out quicker. He wants to prevent hits. If he's about to get hit, he's going to drop to the ground. That's what he does now. He's got that like to do it, but he's not a deep ball thrower.
Yeah, but that might play into Cooks, like because I think Cooks is one of those guys too that can get open right away and turn a short gain into something.
My point is they're going to take away that and make him beat them deep. I think if you're smart as a defensive coordinator, you take away anything short and you play him inside and push him outside the numbers and make Brady try to beat you with him deep. Force him. See if he can do that. That's what you do. I don't think he can.
I agree. I echo that sentiment, but I still think that that's what I said.
That sediment, like it's like dirt or something.
It was. What you're saying is dirt.
Okay.
No, but I still think, so Tom Brady kind of gets a bad rap on that whole deep ball thing.
Everybody has him ranked as the number 2 goddamn quarterback in the league.
What I'm saying is he gets a bad rap on that whole deep ball thing. Oh, he doesn't really throw like a great deep ball. The only time he did it is when he had the super freak and Randy Moss. No, if you're still going to give him an opportunity to throw a ball deep, he's still going to connect sometimes, which I think makes Cooks a good receiver.
Guy's almost 40 fucking years old.
Doesn't matter. The guy is a robot. Have you seen him?
He's not a robot. Okay?
At some point, I agree he's going to fall off, but I need to see a little bit of...
he's the best at what he does. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to play, how to fucking pick guys apart. But that's not beating guys deep. That's what he does.
That's what I'll do.
So, I'm not knocking Tom Brady.
Okay.
I'm far from knocking fucking Tom Brady. He's not better than Aaron Rodgers. Suck it, Patriots fans. Yes. But he knows what he's doing. He's been in here long enough. He knows how to do it. Brandon Cooks isn't going to be as successful as everybody fucking wants him to be. Like, everybody's like, I was watching those. Everybody's like shit, like, talking like Brandon Cooks is uncoverable. He was playing like a 40-year-old cornerback that plays for the Jags. And then there was one that was a busted zone coverage where everybody ran up the field and all Brandon Cooks had to do was walk.
DJ's referring to Twitter videos of training camp joint practice between the Patriots and the Jaguars where Brandon Cooks was putting on a clinic.
Everybody fucking relax a minute. Christ, I hate training camp because the only guys are trying who are guys who are new to the team, rookies, or guys who are barely going to make the team. The rest of the guys, they're going through it, have speed, and going through the motions. Like, you can't sit here and tell me that these guys are awesome in training camp when half the guys out there aren't even fucking going full speed.
Training camp is my regular season, DJ. We went over this. It's my only time to get excited. Just leave it alone.
I don't listen to preseason training. The only thing I listen to on training camp is if a guy gets injured. That's all I care about.
Right. Do you have any...
Don't tell me how good a guy's playing. I don't care.
All right, fine. I'm done. Do you have any other guys in your top 12 you want to discuss real quick, or should we move on to our another listener question?
Des Bryant.
You want to talk Des? We'll talk Des, and then we'll move on to a quick listener question.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we both have him up there. I know that you and me both have Dak Prescott
pretty low.
Regressing a lot. So what makes you and me what makes you put that? You have him lower than me, actually. What makes you put Des Bryant at number 10?
I have him 10. So I think Des Bryant is my top candidate for numerous boom and numerous bust weeks.
Yeah.
He's
absolutely.
the guy that's going to have some games with multiple touchdowns, and then he's going to have those games where he has 3 catches for 40 yards. What he does have going for him, there's a chemistry there between him and Dak. There's potential for them to, at some point, get close to what Dez and Romo have. I don't think it's this year, though. I think it's more year 3 or 4 when that actually happens. So I still think Des Bryant is super talented. I love Des Bryant as a receiver. Why I don't have him higher is probably because of the fact that it is Dak Prescott, and I'm a little bit nervous about him in regards to fantasy, especially when a lot of his points came on the ground in rushing touchdowns. I want a little bit more consistency before I move Des up higher, but I still see the talent and I still see the chemistry between Des and Dak to make him a wide receiver 1 in my eyes.
All right, so you ready for my reasoning?
No, give me 1 second.
Oh, you're still going?
No. Now I'm ready.
Shut up. This is gonna. You guys are gonna love this shit. Sarcastically.
Hot take alarm.
I put him at number 6, and I put him there because I have no fucking idea what to do with him. He's a top 10 talent in the league. That's no doubt. Fact is, I don't know what to think of Dak. I'm not a big fan of him. I think he regresses dramatically. I think they lose.
I think we need more time. We need more time.
I think they lose at least 6 games this year. Their defense is bad, but I just don't think. I I'm worried about him. I feel like he was better with the receivers that he had last year than he will be with Dez. But I'm worried about. I just put him there. This is my analysis that I was talking about. So I put him there because I had to put him dead center because he's a guy that I'm probably not going to draft. So I put him similar to Devontae Freeman, dead center of my wide receivers.
Get him out of the way.
There's going to be another guy that I'm going to value at the running back position that I'll take over him. I don't really know what else to put him.
It's a good strategy.
So Dez Bryant falls right in the middle where I'm like, I don't know what to do with him, so I'm going to let somebody else reach for him, and I won't draft him because I'm going to value somebody else higher, but 6 seems like where he should be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no other analysis.
I actually like that strategy because, like you said, at some point you have to rank him. He is a top 10, 12 for sure talent, and if you don't really know what to do with him, like you said, if it gets to the point where he's on the board and you're looking at other running backs, I get what you're saying. You're going to take the running back anyways.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing with Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, so
wide receiver version of Devontae Freeman.
You're in quite the situation when Devontae Freeman's going to be your best running back available and Dez Bryant's going to be your best receiver available.
I'll draft a quarterback.
Yeah, draft the quarterback or flip a coin. Either way.
Yeah, one of the two.
Let's kick on to this loser question. This audience question because it's got us thinking, and I like it. We had a question about the consequences for those who finish last in fantasy leagues. So if you've never done this before, like a good example was if you are in a 12-man league, before the season starts, everyone agrees on like a tattoo. Yep. And the very last place team, whoever has the worst record, and then after that you can do like points scored. Whoever finishes last has to get that tattoo. Another example would be, as someone pointed out on Twitter, and I laughed my ass off. I think this is
probably my favorite one. I already think I know where you're going.
Yeah, the loser has to go by himself to a WNBA game.
Favorite thing I've ever seen.
How great would that be? That's a great one.
Hilarious, and they should have to video it.
Oh yeah, like you have to have proof. Like you need to be sending at least a Snapchat.
You need to be like
every quarter.
Have to be like into the game and cheering.
Oh yeah, like you can get a jersey.
Yeah, and fucking yell.
Yes. Oh yeah, you need to pick a side. You need to get into a fight.
That bitch fouled.
Do you want to go back? Do you have a couple in mind?
I have like one.
All right, let's.
I have an idea of one.
Well, let me start then. We'll squeeze you in the middle because I have two.
Okay.
So this is probably my favorite one. The loser has to let everyone else in the league develop a Craigslist personal ad for the loser with the phone number included, and then you need to leave it up for a week.
That's a good one.
I like that.
That's a really good one.
I think that would be terrible, especially if you lived in like a big city where people actually respond to like Craigslist personal ads. That could be terrible. And then your buddies are the ones that are like coming up with the ad, saying like all this sick things and like posting weird photos, and dude, it could get.
Yeah, the only flaw in that is I feel like someone could actually get murdered because you could actually find somebody's address from their phone numbers and stuff like that.
End of the day, don't get last.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to die. I don't want to die, but I don't get last, so that doesn't matter. Yeah, that's a pretty good one, though. I like that. I'd like to see some weird dude dick pics that they get. That'd be a good one.
Oh my gosh! Well, and by the way, if you have any, please send them to us. We would like to hear as many of these as possible. So go ahead and send yours. DJ, do you want to debut yours before I do my last one?
So the first thing I thought of was what do girls do that straight guys hate? So, because I'm not disclaiming.
Not put out.
Like I'm not whatever gay guys. Like I like gay guys. I don't care anything about it. But everybody we play with, as far as we know, is straight. So
that's
what
not true.
Girls do? I should say everybody in the league that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
What do girls do that straight guys? Most guys just hate in general. So I went with facial, like a full, and not the facial you're thinking of.
Like a gay facial?
I'm thinking like a full makeover, like tweezing the eyebrows and the eyelashes and all that shit.
Like 40-year-old virgin style almost, but with the face.
You have to get like a full makeup done by the person afterwards too.
Dude,
that.
Yeah, and then you have to go out.
Yeah, well, you gotta go out in public with it.
Oh yeah.
Like you have to go to the mall.
And then you got to pay for it too, which is the real kicker.
Yeah, obviously they got to pay for it.
So here's my last one, and on the way home today, I was on the phone with my lady friend, and I brought this up to her, and she's like, "Oh, I'll think of one too." So what I think she did, I think she Googled it, so I'm a little upset in that sense, but it's worth repeating because it's a good one.
I didn't Google mine. I'm not a pussy.
No, I didn't Google mine either, but
yeah, I'm not. I don't suck like your lady friend and her sister.
That's funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that mean?
No, that's fine.
All right.
I think this is a funny one though.
Okay.
The loser has to go to a store and buy 3 items. They have to buy a cucumber, a box of condoms, and lube. And you need to go to a checkout lane where you actually interact with an actual person.
I've heard that.
No, you've heard that one?
You definitely Googled
So she
that.
Googled it. All right. Well,
I've seen the shopping items thing like that before. That's weak.
I think less of it now, but it's still funny. Like, it'd be a terrible
Your
situation.
first one's better.
Yeah, I do like that first one. So
because what are you even supposed to? Are we all gonna go and watch him do that?
right, yeah, that's the thing. That's kind of like a personal thing. It just sucks for the moment.
And then he's just gonna tell me he did it, and I have to believe it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess you could be staked out.
Yeah,
but
that one sucks. Tell her to Google again.
Re-Google.
Go back and Google that. Your Craigslist one was way better.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, send any ones that you have through Twitter and Facebook because I love these things and I think that we should do more of these in our leagues. But yeah.
You know what our pre-song should have been? We fucked this up. It's a hard knock life.
Oh, tonight, Hard Knocks, 28 minutes from now, Hard Knocks is on Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Miko Grimes, man. I'm wondering if they're going to make her like an actual piece of this or like if they're going to totally ignore her because they're scared of her stealing.
What the fuck is wrong with her?
Dude, I want her on the podcast.
What's wrong with her?
I don't say that. I want her on the podcast.
Okay.
I think it'll be awesome.
Well, she might be more apt to come on it if I sit here and rip on her.
Maybe. But yeah, oh man, I don't know. Have you seen the cakes that she has gotten Brent Grimes for like his birthday and stuff?
Yeah, I just saw the last one.
She's my hero. Like, I get why people don't like her. I get like all that, but gosh damn it, man. Like I said, I love a good train wreck. I'm in it for chaos, and that's what she brings every week.
I think I should line up against her. I think I could beat her for 6. She should have to play cornerback against me, and I'll just shove it in her face, literally.
She'd like it, man. That's what she does.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, let's wrap this up so I can watch a little not podcast, Hard Knocks tonight.
Podcast.
Yeah, let's watch.
Is that 9?
Yep, a little bit here. So thanks again for listening.
Baby.
What'd you say?
Here we go, baby.
Thanks again for listening. Tweet any questions you'd like answered on the podcast at Loaded Box. Check us out on iTunes if you haven't subscribed and reviewed it yet and given us a rating. You should probably do that before DJ comes and finds you and turns you into a lampshade. So on that note, let's call it a day.
Jay Cutler sucks.